AITA for not telling my wife about my daughter? I, 42 meters, feel one way about this situation, but there are people who I feel may have a biased opinion on the matter saying different, so I wanted to check here for perspective. Technically I am still married to my wife, Jessica, 45F, but we are in the middle of a divorce. A divorce that I want while she doesn't and is making it difficult for me. She wants to work things out in marriage counseling, but to be honest she has completely shattered my trust to the point where I would wonder where she is and what she's doing when she is not standing right in front of me, and that is no way to live. She has resorted to even getting family members involved, mostly her side but also my mom and the kids, 18F and 15 meters. None of them want me to divorce and the kids are angry that I'm not even trying while their mom puts on a show. I've tried to tell them my side, but unless I tell them that I've made a mistake, we'll move back in, and not divorce their mom, they don't want to hear it. It's gotten to the point where anytime I try to call or text them, the only one to talk about when I'm coming back home, and that they won't share anything else about their lives with me until I move back in. A couple of months ago I was recently contacted by a young woman, Brittany, 23F, claiming to be my daughter and wanted to see if I would be willing to do a DNA test. I agreed to the test and she's mine. Obviously, I apologized for not being in Brittany's life, and we've been slowly trying to get to know one another. I told my dad and he's delighted to have another grandchild, but I was agonizing about how to break the news to my other children given how tense everything is, and thought that the best way to handle this was to tell them in person. I asked the kids if they would meet with me and they brought their mother, something I specifically requested they not do, and you can guess how well that went. I got up and walked away, and the kids threatened that if I didn't come back and sit down then they'd never speak to me again. I told them that I'd text them something really important in an hour and kept walking. True to my word, I tried but discovered that they blocked me. I was a mess, and the only thing that cheered me up a little was Brittany surprising me with a visit. We went walking around the city and I guess a friend of Jessica's or the kids saw and sent them a picture. I was being blasted on social media and Brittany was being called so many awful names. Especially in regards to her race. In the end I decided to make a post of my own with pictures and admitting to everyone that she was my long-lost daughter, and my dad and sister backed me up on this. That seemed to shut everyone up, and Karen hit me up upset that I didn't tell. Personally, I didn't feel as if I owed it to her to say anything directly and wanted my kids to know without her immediate input. AITA for not just saying it right then and there at the meeting and letting the chips fall? ETA. Because someone messaged these questions I decided to answer them here. For clarification. My parents have been divorced for years and I, ironically, am on a temporary NC status with my mom since she's pushing for reconciliation too. She didn't tell Karen or the kids because she didn't know either, and my sister has a different mom and doesn't really speak to mine outside of family gatherings. Brittany was born before I'd even met Jessica, so no, I was always faithful to her. Brittany is biracial. Her mother is African American, so we don't look alike, even though my dad swears up and down she's the spitting image of his grandmother. And from a distance someone might think I could an older guy with a much younger girlfriend. ETA 2. Hey, everyone had to step away and came back. I kept seeing a common theme of people wanting to know the details of how Jessica broke my trust. I wasn't going to say because I don't see how it was relevant. I wasn't responding well to the, if he won't say then he's hiding something that he did wrong, if you're innocent you'll spill the beans. But after other people gave some heartfelt comments, well-meaning advice, and how not telling my kids the truth will also negatively affect Brittany instead of coming off of people who were just being nosy. That, and coupled with the fact that some people have already guessed what it is, have decided to at least say it here. Early in our relationship my wife cheated on me, and I know at the very least my second daughter isn't my biological child, but she is related to me. Meaning my STBX slept with a male relative of mine. How do I know? She got into a fight with a former friend who decided to be vindictive and tell me about how she had secretly been skimming money from one of our joint accounts and putting it back in later. She was giving the money to my cousin, Luke, to keep him quiet about the fact that they slept together. She tried to gaslight and minimize the situation, and I was almost falling for it until I asked her when this initially happened. She hated every time I asked her, and we'd get into arguments until she slipped up and changed the dates of her story. I pretended to give in and did a secret DNA test and confronted Jessica when the results came back that she wasn't mine. I was furious because not only did she lie to me, she used her pregnancy to pressure marriage. I was on the fence about breaking up with her prior to the pregnancy, but she also contributed to Luke's end. To keep it simple, Luke had an obsession with street medicine, and when the family agreed to cut him off until he got help, Luke blackmailed Jessica for money. Losing him hit his parents, my aunt and uncle, the hardest, and they blamed themselves for tough loving him into an early end. So many people in my family, both immediate and extended, will be crushed by this, and Jessica knows that I don't want to say anything. Part of me wants to keep this a secret forever because I don't want this to hurt the children, but I'm also scared of a future where this is all known. Plus it brings up the backdoor fear of my son also not being biologically mine either. Luke died years before my son was born, and Jessica swears that she's always been faithful, but her word ain't worth a quarter in Monopoly land. NTA, welcome to divorce. Where if it doesn't directly impact the children's safety, health and well-being, your ex doesn't need to be informed. You tried to inform your children and that didn't go well, oh well. By the way, I wouldn't push your oldest into having a relationship with your children given the drama and chaos right now. That is a fast track to getting her to nope out of there. It's too bad the news about your daughter came at the same time as the divorce. Your other children are going to latch into this and blame your new daughter for breaking up the family even though she has nothing to do with it. I hope someday they can see past their mom's side of the story and make amends. I have to admit, even if they were my kids, I'd have a hard time seeing them the same way. Trust me, right now I am, and I don't think I'll ever go back to seeing them the same way again even if they apologize. I'm so hurt, angry and embarrassed at all of this because I thought I raised them better than this. I feel like a failure as a parent, and I'm worried that Brittany will think they got it from me and decide that she's better off not having me around. I've apologized profusely and am doing my best to convince that I'm not that person. I think you need to remember that there is only one person to blame for all this: your ex. My oldest sister, from my dad's first marriage, was a terror. She called CPS on my parents, told people they were beating her, snuck out to go to concerts and meet up with boys as a tween, carefully manipulated things to inconvenience my mom so greatly it could affect her whole week. Eventually it was discovered her mother was carefully working to make all these things happen. Everything was her idea, and if my sister didn't go along with it she would be insanely punished. The state actually took her away from her mother after a state-mandated therapist had enough time with my sister. The abuse was terrible. All this happened when she was between the ages of 8 to 14. Once my sister was out of her mom's sphere of influence completely and away from all family at uni, she changed. She suddenly wanted a relationship with our dad and even my mom. She's in her late 30s now and calls my mom all the time. Emotionally she's much closer to my mother than her own. She just needed time to get away from the abuse her mother put her through. Try to be compassionate to your children. They are being manipulated and jerked around by your ex, and it's so wrong. They are of course in the wrong for what they did to your daughter, but I guarantee you it was your ex who gave them the idea, egged them on, and many have even helped to write the messages. I believe you did raise them to be better than this. You did not fall as a parent. This is just two really big, life-altering events that collided with you in the middle. Protect your oldest daughter at all costs because this will pass. The other two children are blinded by confusion, anger, and are being heavily coached by your ex. I think it's time you told your children the truth about why you're seeking the divorce. Depending on what was said, you may want to talk to your daughter about what she wants, as I personally would find it really hurtful if you chose to act like nothing happened with them being nasty, likely racist and horrible, disgusting human beings. Leave them with their mother if they want her so badly. Please focus on your mental health. You don't deserve to put up with the abuse or the manipulation from the kids. If they can't healthily have a relationship with you, frankly they don't deserve one. This, and the fact that Op is on the track to losing any relationship with his kids over something that is just not his fault at all. Not to mention all the associated family pushing for a reconciliation. There is no way they'd all be telling him to get back together with her if they knew she cheated on him, got pregnant to his cousin, and then sent the cousin money in secret that he was using to fuel a drug addiction that ultimately killed him. If Op wants any relationship with his kids, they need to know the truth, and to know he's not to blame for this divorce. Honestly, your kids are too old to be pulling this shit. I know it hurts, but you should seriously consider an ultimatum. You are old enough to understand adult relationships, and how important trust is. Your mother has broken my trust forever. This is not a wound that time will heal. I love you always, but I will not put myself through more hurt just to make her happy. And I'm sorry, but I won't put myself through more hurt so you can live a fantasy of a happy family, because I can't be happy staying with someone I can't trust. You take as long as you need to accept that, but I won't tolerate abuse towards myself or Brittany while you work through this.